In my house, I have all sorts of crap. Um, no, I have a collection of everything. Name it, I have more than one. And I have some old frames. And I was looking for a frame to put a portrait that Russell did of me in. And I thought this might work, but it turns out this one isn't the right size. But I'm taking this lady out, this woman from Lynn, Massachusetts, or that's where the photographer took her picture, and that I can throw away. I know, I'm not going to throw it away. But I'm going to keep this thing, which is this hand-painted little frame, matte, I guess you'd call it. I'll clean the glass, but I'm going to keep everything else dirty. Oh, and this was a little piece of sort of quilted paper. Maybe I'll draw on that. Do a drawing and reframe it. What do you think? Should I just try to do a drawing on that thing? Maybe. I don't know. I thought I would put some sort of doodly watercolor in sort of brown ink, pen and ink wash. I find it fascinating to come up with, okay, I have a frame. Now, what would I frame in it? What would I put in the frame? What would go in this frame? A little silver edge. I am getting a bunch of silver Prismacolor pencils in the mail on Monday from eBay. Maybe I'll do a drawing in silver pencil. Tina, silver pencils that will go in this frame. I have a pair of these, very simple, but actual wood frames with actual glass, 1926. This was framed, whatever was in it. I imagine I have something that would look good with a acid paper. This paper probably was white at one point, but the acid in the paper is turning it black or darker. But I do have two. So you have a matching set, so maybe I'll save these for a particular pair of pieces that I can put there. Just here's another thing. I did these drawings to fit these frames. These are coasters, and $10 at Marshall's. That's when I had $10 to spend on something. Tina, my cat, driving me crazy. Anyway, it had these coasters, 4 of them, and you were supposed to put pictures of your grandkids or something silly like that. But I did a drawing of a watch and the back of the watch and the works of the watch and the inscription on the back of the watch. And this is actually a watch that was given, the drawing is of a watch that was given to my father's father, my grandfather, who I never knew. He died long before I was born. And my grandmother, the wife of the guy whose watch this originally was, gave it to me. So, but I So again, I did the drawings to fit the frame. And that's kind of a neat thing to do sometimes. I have another set of coasters that somewhere in my house here, that I decorated. And I created diagrams that looked like molecular models that were meant to be gin and tonic or a Manhattan or a martini. And I remember, this was gin, this was vermouth, and then this was shaken, not stirred. This was stirred, I guess. This was shaken, and then olive, or it could also be a lemon, depending on. So that was sort of my molecular model for a gin and tonic or Manhattan. So this said G, I think, and that was vermouth, and then that represent the shaking, and then there was a L or O. Anyway, it was a fun thing that was inspired by the frame and the use of the frame, in this case the coasters. The watch in this thing doesn't make as much logical sense as the other thing does, but I liked the idea. I was drawing watches at the time, so watches were it. The frame I am going to be using for Russell's portrait he did of me is a thing that was meant to hold a drawing or a photograph. I suppose a photograph. But I took the glass out because you don't want to see glass covering oil paint. You want to see glass over a drawing. But so I'll show you. Tina, I can't help you. So this is the frame I'm going to choose, and I like the color here. Sort of picks up on the color of the lips there, or the furrows in my face, and I like the little bunny. Russell is an amazing painter, amazing artist, I think. So that's going to be that. Maybe I can put one of my diploma faces in that frame I took this lady out of, because I do have a lot of diploma faces that need to be framed. Now, most of you would see something like this, and you'd throw it out. But I'm finding all sorts of interesting things here. First of all, this is an old piece of paper. It came on the back of an old frame, I think. And somewhere, somehow, this must have gotten wet. And this is very pliable, where this is very brittle. So the wetness moisturized the paper, but I thought, maybe I can make something out of this. Maybe a little portrait collage. What are your thoughts? Magical drawing. The painting, you mean? Russell's painting of me, portrait of me, or I don't think I showed a drawing. I mean, that's a drawing. That's not magical. So I got my crown, my second of 3 visits, prepared my tooth for the real crown, but I got my other crown put in and my temporary crown put back after they did more work on my tooth. And I had 2, it was like an octopus was working on me. I had 2 dentists with their gloved hands in my mouth and the suction device and the drill and the mirror and the whatever, all the other things. And I thought I would come up with a video where, you know, here's the square of the video. Here's my mouth open wide, turn to the left, turn to the right. Here's my teeth. Here's the one they're working on is right there. And then my tongue was causing them all sorts of problems. And then their gloved hands and the drill. And so I think I'm going to try to create a animation of this disgusting looking orifice being something. Yeah, I think cutting or tearing it would be interesting to do. I do have so many old pieces of paper that I wanted to do something like that with, and I just haven't come up with the idea yet. But this is just so beautiful, I think, even just like this, framing this. Maybe that's what I'll do. Because I think there's a beauty in the way it's fading. I want to show you. Here's someone's this is someone's class notebook from math class back in 1802. Look at that. Speaking of brown paper, subtraction of vulgar fractions. Addition of vulgar fractions. Look at the way they filled in the F there. Exchange. Divide 3675.7661 by 46.3. Okay, do that. Aren't these beautiful? Double something something vulgar fractions. Decimal fractions. Yeah, they're very neat notes, that's for sure. There was, I had this piece of cardboard that, or maybe it was a piece of fabric actually, that had been it was just canvas, and it had been folded up and it had been dampened, and it sort of had this shape that looked vaguely interesting, but shape-like, and it body-like, and it reminded me of the Shroud of Turin. And I thought I would do with very light brown watercolor or ink wash or tea or coffee or something, draw the outline of a kitty, a little kitty cat, the Shroud of Kitty, and just say that's a miracle. So you're going to come on now, Monik. Are you going to join me if I invite you, or are you too busy? I was planning on, I watched one of Wasky Squirrel's videos of his pens in use. I haven't seen him in a long time, and he was in a town in South Dakota, and he credited me for teaching him how to use a modern parking meter. You ordered a tripod, okay. Well, tripods aren't always what you want, but anyway, the tripod sort of is good for aiming horizontally. You want something that aims down. Well, I bet you do. If you have a wire hanger, you can do it. What you do, here's your desk or your table, here's your chair, here you are, here's your head, side view of you, here's your cat if you have a cat. Meow. And if you have 4 big books, 5 or 6 big books, and a stick that you can tape your phone on, where your phone is aiming down, and then some more books to put on top, maybe a potted plant if you want. Then the phone that's rubber banded to a ruler can look down, and then you can also see what you're showing by your head is higher than that by looking this way. So all you need is a stick. A stick, a rubber band or a piece of tape, a phone, and a bunch of books. Yeah, I've come up with so many different ways to do what I'm doing here, and because this thing is an iPad, not an iPhone, so it's heavy. So the thing that I need to have something go horizontal and above me without legs coming down getting in my way is tough. Yeah, lighting is another thing. I mean, for me, I have the light here. I've got the arm that's holding this thing that way. So I can move my hands perfectly fine. But a tripod usually has its 3 legs underneath the phone, and you don't want it under the phone because it'll be right here. That's not where you want it. So, and you want the lighting coming, you don't want the lighting coming from this side because it'll make a shadow over here. So you do want the lighting not to be interrupted by any sort of legs of tripods like that. You don't want that in your way. So again, having it come from the side, or the light come from the side, and this arm coming out from the top. But anyway, it's worth trying to figure out. And then you can tell me aloud with your actual voice how to pronounce your name. Monik, 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 Monik. I'm trying to find I have a case for this iPad, and I took the case off so I could put the iPad in this holder, and I cannot find it anywhere in my entire house. I've looked and looked and looked, and it is not, I'm not finding it. Monik. Yeah, I know I started it right. You told me I got it right once, but it takes me a long time to figure it out. I'm thinking how I'm going to do my dental thing. I think I'm going to make it look very wet and dark and sort of moist and gooey somehow. It is Sunday. And today the Urban Sketchers are going to be going out to Faneuil Hall, which is one of the least interesting spots on the planet to to draw. It's an old building that is sort of a tourist destination for people visiting Boston, and it's not interesting at all anymore. It might have been 20 years ago, or when it was built 150 years ago, or 200 years ago, whenever it was built, 300 years ago. It's this big building that it was a marketplace, I guess, when it was originally built, and it's where stuff that would come in off the wharf from shipping would go there, and you'd drive your buggy over to pick up what you needed and bring it to your house, wherever your house was. And I just find it kind of dull. But there's some nice buildings around it. There's nothing wrong with that building. It's just full of boring things. Yeah, I can. When I make it, I don't know if I'll do it this morning or never. Somewhere between this morning and never. is when I'm gonna do it. But I do have other images that I've done of the dentist, which I think you can find on my Instagram account. I'm going to try to find something. Just let me see if I can find it here. There's a face that I made of my diploma face that might look good in that. There she is. Oh dear. Well, I like her, but I don't think she's going to fit. I think she's going to be too big. I mean, this might fit nicely in the frame, but it won't fit in the window. So you see, this would look good. The same sort of bric-a-brac that's on that I make these things out of. Would go well with this frame. Let's see if I can find a different one that's smaller. I think all of these are going to be too big. Here's one that might be the right size. No, that's even too big. But I could have it. God damn it. I'll find something. But I think maybe one of these things would look good. It just has to be small enough. Oops. Doesn't go in there. This poor girl has pimples. this fit? Maybe I'll just call it a day with this one. Kind of fits. Should I have the bluish side showing? It's kind of neat. Done. Yay. That was easy. I kind of like this one. She looks like she's going to tell your future. Okay, so I can fix this. It's going to look like... Oh, he fell down. Good. Here's another portrait that I did of a diploma certificate. Yeah, I think the blue is kind of neat. I like that baby blue color just for a contrast, and it just adds one more thing to the thingness of that object. I mean, it's not just the portrait, it's the portrait in the frame. So the frame is part of the art, just like the frame is part of the art here too. Normally you don't think about the frame, you just paint the picture, and then someone buys it and they put a frame around it. So are you using a pen today? What pen are you using today? I'll be right back. Let me get more coffee. I see. Wish I knew where I put my case for this iPad. going to put all of these things back. I just got them out, so before I completely forget what I'm doing, I'm going to put them back where they were from. I have a lot of diplomas still left to cut up into little pieces. But I can do that later. I am not. I have a few. I think one of these, where the hell did these come from? One I bought, like it came with a lot of pens. One was given to me by Gold Spot Pens for some reason. I did a drawing, I guess, and they gave me a pen. There's a couple that I like. These are not those. I don't know. I don't know where the ones that I like are. I don't like them for a couple of reasons, and the main reason was most fountain pens don't keep up with me and they skip. There's not enough ink flow. Tina, I know, kitty. I think these were given to me by one of my neighbors who left them on my door. And I asked her, I said, did you give me the pen? She said, yes, I thought you might like them. And she doesn't like them anymore. And I said, well, I probably won't use them, but I might give them to kids at a pen show. Tina, what? Tina, what do you want? My cat requires that I watch her eat. Don't understand it one bit. Well, what am I going to do now? Should I frame that thing since it's right here? Should I just do that? I got everything I need almost. Yeah, I think that's the right size. Could be a little bit bigger, but if it's bigger, I don't think it'll look as good. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue. Glue it to the quilted thing. Oh, gloved hand, huh? Dina, what? I know. What? I can't get this nasty stuff away, but I'll keep it there because that's part of my life is to be filthy. So there's my little face. Those little dimples of ink. How they dried. Little convex. Okay, somewhere here I have Tina. Tina, what do you want? What? Outside? I should take a movie of what my mouth looks like. Or should I not? Should I just imagine what it looks like? Or should I? Tina, my cat is trying to get out of the window. Let me out of here. I'm trapped. Tina, you're not going to be able to get out. Tina. Okay, I found glass cleaner over here. Tina. I don't think so. I don't know. They were doing all sorts of stuff in my mouth. Let me show you the view I had of them was something like this. I can find it here. That's me looking up at the light. Okay, why isn't it moving? There we go. That's what it looked like when my teeth were being cleaned. By Claire. Claire cleaned my teeth, and her boyfriend, Roderick, is doing the other part of it. And he's being supervised by other people. So I'm gonna try to do the same kind of thing, except have their view of my mouth. Boy, this glass is filthy. Even I think this is dirty. And when I think something is dirty, it's way dirty. Now, why is this not coming out? It's on the other side of the glass. Okay, there's a, come on, goop from a price tag, I suppose. For God's sake. You need to have razors on hand just in case you want to do away with yourself. Well, I know, I mean, I kind of have an idea how I want to do it. And part of it might be that I want it sort of zoomed in a little bit more so you don't really know that it's a face with a mouth. You just see this sort of cavernous, dark, pinky thing with sort of things that reflect and glisten, and then you'll see these purple gloves. Well, you'll see these purple finger-shaped things. You might not know they're fingers. I sort of want it to have a little tiny bit of a mystery to it. In my mind, that's what I'm thinking it's going to look like, but in reality, what it ends up looking like is probably going to be very different. Is that dirt or what is that? Schmutz. Okay. Well, I know what an open mouth looks like. Open wide, open wider. Relax your tongue. My tongue was causing all sorts of trauma. And when I was there before, they went out and they brought in this vacuum cleaner attachment that was a tongue guard attached to the vacuum thing. So it kept my tongue out of the way and kept my mouth as dry as that's as good as it's going to get. I don't believe in making things too perfect. Because what fun is that? Ta-da! Okay, we'll see you later. Bye. This had little nails in it, have now been lost to history. Here's one little nail. It'll work. find another little nail. Bent nail, we can fix that more or less. Come on, get in there. Get in there, nail. There. Ta-da. Is it upside down? No. Ta-da. It'll do. It's perfectly good frame for that particular piece. There, done. Okay, I'm gonna work on my little mouth movie. See you later.